women-only places wherever where women go. Yeah, because you consider yourself to be a woman. You know, saying, you know, there are privacy and personal space for men and women in certain areas. So if you identify yourself as a man, as a woman, while you're a man, and you say, look, by now I think I'm a woman now, then they cannot put you and stop you from going to a woman-only places.
So are you worried about that having an influence on kids then?
No, that's a different thing. I'm saying
because I think we've suddenly changed the track of this conversation. We were originally talking about. I started by saying I don't see religion as particularly progressive, and then we changed it to something else, which was.
No, I gave you an example of something that's happening in society where religion says.
Is this whole conversation about discomfort with the LGBT?
No, not LGBT.
Okay, let's just talk about this subject anyway, because we can branch to different areas. What's your opinion about pedophiles? Someone who has attraction to young children.
What's that got to do with LGBT or religion?
No, LGBT is a group of people in the community who have a certain sexual preference.
So you're saying if you're a pedophile,
someone who has sexual preference for young children. What's your opinion about that?
Okay, so let's open this one up and think about it a little bit. So one thing that I find particularly interesting, and you might have to bear with me as I map this out. One thing I find quite interesting is let's say I'm the age of 18. And holy shit, I suddenly realise that I am sexually attracted. I can't believe this is going on camera, but please say they're not going to re-edit this into something else. But let's say, God forbid, I suddenly realise that I'm sexually attracted to minors. That's a real problem. But here's what I find particularly interesting. If you immediately go to someone, let's say a counsellor or someone who's going to give you mental health support, they have to turn you over to the police. Now, that is a good and bad thing at the same time, because as much as that immediately red flags them, it says, okay, you've got to keep an eye on this person because they have this kind of sexual proclivity towards children. At the same time, that's discouraging them from going to the right authority. So I do think that, like imagine you are in that position. You are someone who cannot help that attraction, and where do you go? What do you do? I in some ways, I think there are some completely horrible animals out there who prey on kids, but I also think that you have some very confused and disturbed people who actually need a lot of counselling and help to try and get them out of this state. But as much as I don't think our sexual choice is a preference, I think actually they're fucked. They're fucked.
I find it very strange though, the double standards, in treating pedophiles. If you have a non-practicing pedophile, if such a concept exists, where someone really, they think they're attracted to minors. Okay? There is a huge movement for MAPs, MAP, minor attracted persons.
Right.
So, are you saying they have a mental problem because they are attracted to little children?
A lot of the time you do find that it's that. It's something that will start in childhood.
So sexual preferences.
So it might start in childhood because you find a lot of the time there's a correlation between them having had that experience as a kid, being molested. A lot of the time people try to recreate the first sexual experience, and so that's it. They have been damaged and programmed to think like this going forward, and they need to have help to try and get out of this place if that is such a thing. I would love to see it if we lived in a world where people could be reformed. I would love it. However,
I find it strange though, why you consider people reformed and already be people in the problem. A homosexual person, whether a man or a woman, do you see it the same way that they're mentally this problem, they need to be reformed? Their sexual preferences, instead of a man against a woman, is a man against a man. Why is your thinking different when it comes to homosexuals?
But tell me who is it harming? Who is the man?
It's not question. I'm not talking about question of harm.
No, it absolutely is. I'm sorry. Hang on a second. It absolutely is because a fully grown man. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen that horrible Michael Jackson documentary. You've got a fully grown man who is manipulating children into having to have sexual relations with him, and it's damaged them throughout their entire lives. That is something that they are not ready to consent to. Something they can be manipulated with. I certainly know from my gay experiences in life that I have been more than consenting when they have happened, and I've wanted them to happen. And it's happened in a very nice and organic way, and no one has made me feel like I've had a problem for it. You know, it's not something that I've decided to go with in the end because it wasn't me. But you know, I'm very grateful that I've lived with people who are receptive to my ability to try that out. And goodness, I would not want anyone to think that I had some sort of mental disorder for wanting to sexually and emotionally connect with someone else.
So this is where I find totally inconsistent approach and double standards. We are talking about people's preferences for their sexual engagement with anyone or anything, right? So you have people who have sexual preferences for animals. You have people who have sexual preferences to minors. You have people who have as a man, sexual preferences for women, and women sexual preferences to women. Yeah? So you're now linking this kind of sexual preferences. It's not the issue. You're saying where there is a harm, where there is perhaps the issues of consent. So it's not. So you're being a little bit homophobic, I think, in your approach when you use this. I'll tell you what.
Am I being homophobic?
Let me explain.
I'm sorry. What mental gymnastics?
Let me explain. When you disown, when you look down upon a gay person or a lesbian person,
which I do
because of their homosexual preferences, you'd say you shouldn't do that because that's homophobia. Like you agree with me, right?
Wait, did I what? So
a gay and a lesbian person.
Right, so don't need to get upset.
I'm not getting upset. I'm just trying to explain to you. Perhaps you need to understand what I'm saying. Okay. Would you look down upon a gay person or a lesbian person, saying these are mental disorder?
Absolutely not.
Right. So someone having a sexual preference, that's their preference, to have a relationship with the same sex. You have now an individual, a pedophile, who has sexual preference to minors. Why are you looking down upon that individual? Because that's the sexual preference for them?
I think it's a preference that's often born through childhood trauma, through some.
Now you're linking with correlation and causation. You're not thinking about people's own choice. One moment.
Pedophiles. Yes, I am.
You are automatically linking people's sexual preferences. So is it not possible also gay and lesbian choices can also be likewise like these kind of factors that you bring up?
No, I don't think so.
So is it genetic?
No, I don't think that's necessarily true either.
So what is making the sexual preferences among our gay and lesbian communities? Where is this preferences and choice come from? Is it conditional by
why
the
do you like
society?
fellatio over missionary decision?
Sorry. We are talking about people. So look. Okay.
But there is an absolute difference between pedophiles
if a man is attracted to another man in a gay relationship,
right,
you're saying it's okay. I don't look down upon. But when a man is attracted to a young man or a young woman, which is a minor, you're saying it's a mental disorder.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that a double standard?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Because, let's put it this way, some people choose to communicate and talk to each other in a very normal way. However, some people maybe with let's take another disorder, pluck one out of the air, like psychopathy. That actually dictates that you prefer to manipulate people when you talk to them. Like if you ever talk to a stone cold psychopath, they will, depending on the situation, they can be manipulative, they can choose to talk to you in a certain way, which is negative. Now, the means of communication, verbally, physically, all that stuff, all that means is the same. However, what's happening when you're communicating with a psychopath, which is a mental disorder, which is linking to a mental disorder, an entirely different situation happens. So now let's take things back to the sexual realm. Now you've got relations between a man and a woman, relations between two men, relations between two women. All of these things are relations. However, there is something broken, something fundamentally damaged when someone who literally cannot help their sexual proclivity towards children. Now I think that, and there is so much evidence that is related to trauma, that's related to early experiences that have damaged the person, and therefore they think this way. So we choose to do things in our day-to-day life every single day. I choose to cycle around the park, someone else chooses to pick up a brick and beat a homeless guy to get over there. They are both things you choose to do. Now, does that mean we shouldn't be able to step outside and do things just because of the risk of that one other thing happening? Like one is a normal activity and one is a bad activity. And it is
Which one's a normal activity?
Cycling around the park. Okay. And the bad one is beating the homeless guy to death with a brick. So, do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but what you still haven't really understood from what I'm trying to say, maybe I'm not explaining too well.
Yeah,
which is this.
you're saying what's the difference between
no,
what?
I'm saying
Okay.
we are talking about not about harm that results from the sexual preferences of people. I'm not interested.
But why? So I don't understand.
simply,
Why are you comparing paedophiles to gay people? Then? Let's really get down.
Wait a moment.
Let's get into this.
I'm talking about people's sexual preferences, which you say it's not actually genetic. If it's not genetic, it's then conditioned by people themselves or other environment, the environment around them. Either it's the society, it's the media, it's the pop culture, it's the TV, it's whatever they're being brainwashed or indoctrinated with. So instead of saying to a gay or a lesbian individual, we need to reform you, we need to treat you, we need to actually find out, was it a trauma or not? Was it like something happened with you and your young son? You're saying it's okay. Have you not forgotten already that homosexuality was a mental disorder until very recently? Things have changed because of the lobbying, not because of. Now, maybe pedophilia will not be a mental disorder in the near future. That's what pedophiles are. They're actually lobbying for. They want to be recognized. Someone they cannot control the love, the philia they have to the minors. But what I'm highlighting is this is the problem.
That does not mean they're about to legalize having sex with
I'm
children,
saying
mate.
this
It
is the
doesn't mean
problem.
that.
This is the problem. We are not really understanding